Welcome back to easily confused words number 3. We're going to start with among and between. Among is a preposition which often means with a portion to each. Or between is also a preposition. It has the same meaning as among, however we use it to talk about between two different things. For example, between you and me, I don't like him very much. Or we split the money between us, means half for John and half for me. So we use between when we're talking usually about two people, and among more than two people. For example, small bushes grew among the many trees of the forest. Among the many, more than two. Take and bring. Take is a verb that means to deliver away from a speaker, and bring is a verb that means to deliver towards the speaker, to bring towards. You take away from and bring to. For example, the boat cannot take all of you across the river at once. It means the boat cannot take you from one side of the river to the other side. I'll bring you your coat. I will get it from a different place and bring it to you. Just wait 1 minute. What is the difference between bring and take? So, whether you use bring or take generally depends on your point of reference for the action. For example, as I said, you ask people to bring things to the place where you are, and you take things to the place where you are going. As one listener named Simone put it, you bring things here and take things there. For example, you ask people to bring things to you, and you take things to other people. You ask people to bring your coffee and offer to take the dishes to the kitchen. From and to. You tell people to bring you good news, and you take your camera to the beach. You ask people to bring things to you, and you take things to other people. For example, I would ask Aardvark to bring Squiggly to my party next week. And then Aardvark would call Squiggly and ask, may I take you to Grandma's girl's party? So I am asking Aardvark to bring Squiggly because I am at the destination. From my perspective, Aardvark is bringing someone here. Aardvark is offering to take Squiggly because he is transporting someone to a destination. So he is taking someone. So in my view, he is bringing because he is somewhere else and he is coming to where I am. But for him, he is leaving where he is and going to where I am. Here are two more examples that can help you remember. For example, first think of a restaurant where you can get good food to go, good food delivered. For example, it is often informally called getting take-out when you order food and they deliver it to you. When you get take-out food, you are moving the food from your location. If you go to the restaurant take the food and leave. So you are at the restaurant, you order the food and you take it somewhere else, a destination. And it's take out food, not bring out. It's take out because you order in the restaurant and you take it out of the restaurant. You're taking the food to a destination out. Second, if I'm sitting at home feeling lazy and wishing dinner would appear, I would say, I wish someone could bring me dinner. I imagine Pat stopping at the restaurant and getting dinner to go. From my perspective, he is bringing dinner to me because it's coming to my location. So if you are in the restaurant and you buy food and you go out of the restaurant, you take it out. If you are at home and someone will bring the food to you, they bring it to you. Figurative and literal. Figurative versus literal language. Learning to make meaning when figurative language is used can be difficult concept for learning disabled students. Students with disabilities, especially those with language delays, become easily confused when figurative language is used. Figurative language, or figures of speech, is very abstract for children. It's not logical. To put it simply to a child, figurative language doesn't mean exactly what it says. Unfortunately, many students take figurative language literally. They listen to it and believe it is literal. The next time you say, "This briefcase weighs a ton," they might just think that it does, and come away with the belief that a ton is something close to the weight of a suitcase. So, if they don't understand that you're using figurative language, the students might believe that a suitcase weighs 1 ton. So 1 ton is a suitcase. But it is a figure of speech. It is just an expression to exaggerate that it was heavy. A figurative speech can come in many forms. We can use simile, which is comparison, often with, as, or like, when we compare something with something else that is similar. For example, as smooth as silk, as fast as the wind, quick like a lightning bolt. These are similes. This, like that, as, with. A metaphor is an implicit comparison without like or as. So you compare, but not with like or as. You don't say, you are as heavy as an elephant. No. You say, you're such an airhead, for example. It's bursting with flavor. Or you can say, you're such an elephant. A hyperbole. A hyperbole is an exaggerating statement. In order to get my assignment done, I'll have to burn the midnight oil. This means that you are exaggerating how long you will be studying. You are saying that you will have to stay up very, very late. Personification is giving something a human quality. For example, the sun smiled down on me. The sun cannot smile because the sun is not a human. But you just use it as an expression to say that the sun was shining. The leaves danced in the wind. Of course, leaves cannot dance because they don't have legs, but it just means they moved in a way that looked like a dance. As another example, we could say, when I want to use bells and whistles, it's an expression, I could be referring to the new computer I just bought, which has lots of memory, a DVD burner, an amazing video card, a wireless keyboard and mouse, and therefore I can say my new computer has bells and whistles. It means it has many different things. Here we have some examples of figures of speech or phrases. For example, at the drop of a hat. This is a figurative meaning. It means immediately, instantly, now. For example, John was always ready to go fishing at the drop of a hat. Very, very fast. No questions, no waiting. He was always ready. If you need help, just call on me. I can come at the drop of a hat. Axe to grind. We use this in context of general equities or insecurity, whether something is in a position, in an order, in an inquiry. Back to square one. This means back to the beginning, like on a board game. For example, negotiations have broken down and it's back to square one. Start again. We lost our appeal of the lower court decision, so back to square one. Bells and whistles. The things that something, especially a device or machine, has or does that are not necessary, but that make it more exciting or interesting. For example, if your computer has software that may have all the latest bells and whistles, but it is good value for money. Bed of roses. This means that something is a state of great luxury or comfort. For example, because her father was rich, she lived in a bed of roses. Burn the midnight oil. This means to work very late into the night. For example, I've got to get this report finished by tomorrow, so I guess I will be burning the midnight oil tonight. Clean sweep. This means a broad movement clearing or affecting everything in its pathway. For example, the manager and everybody in accounting got fired in a clean sweep of that department. Or everybody got a pay rise. It was a clean sweep. Chew the fat. This means to chat or gossip. Sit yourself down and let's chew the fat for a while. We were chewing the rag. Nothing important. Cold feet is the fear of doing something at that moment of the action. For example, the bridegroom got cold feet on the day of the wedding. Sally said I should try skydiving, but I had cold feet. Coast is clear. It means there is no visible danger. For example, I'm going to stay hidden here until the coast is clear. You can come out of your hiding place now. The coast is clear. There is no danger. Down in the dumps means unhappy, sad. For example, she's down in the dumps because all her friends are out of town. Ears are burning is said to somebody who was not present at the topic of discussion, but was the topic of discussion. For example, if I am talking about James with some other friends and he is not in the room, so we're saying, oh, you know, James, he's always so late, blah blah blah, talking about him, and then he arrives, we say, oh, James, your ears are burning. "40 winks" is a short sleep, an extra sleep, or a nap. For example, as you're so tired, why not try to catch 40 winks before you leave? Full of beans means to have a lot of energy and be enthusiastic. For example, I've never met anyone so full of beans before breakfast. Give me a break. This means don't be so harsh on me, don't be so strong, strict. Give me another chance. For example, I'm sorry, I'll do better. Give me a break. I was only late once. Give me a break. Or that's enough, you're bothering me, stop it. For example, do you have to go on and on? Give me a break. Or, give me a break, you guys. That's enough of your bickering. Give my right arm. This means if you are willing to give something of great value for something or someone. For example, I'd give my right arm for a nice cool drink. Or in a nutshell, or in a pickle. This is something that you say when you are describing something, usually using few words as possible. For example, Karen wants them to get married, buy a house, and Mike wants them to carry on as they are. And that, in a nutshell, is the problem. Well, to put it in a nutshell, we are going to have to start again. So, not the full story, just a little bit to explain the basics. In the bag, we use this to mean achieved. You have achieved a goal. For example, it's in the bag, as good as done. The election is in the bag unless the voters find out about my past. Kelly looks like he is in the bag. John is in the bag. It's Greek to me. This is informal for something that is unintelligible. You cannot understand it. For example, quantum mechanics is Greek to me. First straw is slang for a small addition to a burden, the final straw, which causes it to exceed the capacity. For example, that's the final straw. It's a petty demand, but I'm already under too much work. I quit. Let the cat out of the bag. This means to reveal a secret or surprise by accident. For example, when Bill looked at the door, he let the cat out of the bag. Or we knew then that he was expecting somebody to arrive because he looked at the door, so he accidentally let everybody know. Or it's a secret, try not to let the cat out of the bag. Long shot is a risky bet, an attempt, a bet or proposition that has a low probability of success. For example, your solution is a long shot, but we'll try it and hope it works. Mum's the word is a pledge not to reveal a secret or to tell about something or someone. For example, mum's the word, said Jane to ease Mary's mind about her secret. To make her feel better, she said, mum's the word, which means she will not tell anybody. On the ball means knowledgeable, competent, attentive, someone that is good at something. For example, this guy is really on the ball. Or, if you were on the ball, this wouldn't have happened. Out on a limb means in a dangerous position to do something at risk. For example, I don't want to go out on a limb, but I think we can afford to do it. Or, if I had to go out on a limb, I would say that it will be a month before your merchandise will be delivered. Pass the buck means to pass the blame to someone else, to give the responsibility to someone else. For example, don't try to pass the buck. It's your fault and everybody knows it. Or some people try to pass the buck whenever they can. Pay through the nose. This means to pay too much for something. If you want a decent wine at a restaurant, you have to pay through the nose for it. To read between the lines is to infer something, to understand something, that what is meant by something that is not written exactly or openly. For example, after listening to what she said, I read between the lines. You can begin to see what she really means. Or don't believe everything you read literally. Learn to read between the lines. Saved by the bell is something that we say when a difficult situation is ended suddenly before you have to do or say something that you want to. For example, luckily my bus arrived before I had time to reply. Saved by the bell. Spill the beans. Spill the beans means to let secret information become known. To let other people know secret information. For example, my husband was afraid to spill the beans about the cost of his purchases. To take a rain check is something that you say when you cannot accept someone's invitation to do something but you would like to, or to do it another time. For example, I'll take a rain check on that drink tonight, if that's alright. I won't play tennis this afternoon, but can I get a rain check? It is often used in American informal language. Through the grapevine. This means to hear news from someone who heard the news from someone else. For example, I heard through the grapevine that she was pregnant, but I don't know anything more. True colors is how a person truly feels, acts, or thinks, even though people have their other ways of seeing that specific person. For example, please show me your true colors. Under the weather, it means sick or intoxicated with alcohol. For example, I feel sort of under the weather today, or whatever I ate for lunch is making me feel a bit under the weather. Or intoxicated, Daddy's had a few beers and is under the weather again. Wally's just a little bit under the weather. Up my sleeve. This means to have a secret or surprise plan or solution to a problem. For example, I've got something up my sleeve, and it should solve all your problems. Or, I'll tell you what it is after I'm elected. So, I've got something up my sleeve and it should solve all your problems. I'll tell you what it is after I'm elected. The manager has an ace up her sleeve. She'll surprise us with it later. Upset the apple cart. This means to mess up or ruin something. Tom really upset the apple cart by telling Mary the truth about Jane. I always knew he'd tell her secrets and upset the apple cart. Walking on eggshells. This means to walk very carefully or to take steps gingerly. For example, since he stumbled and fell against the china cabinet, Bill has been walking on eggs, very careful. It also means to be very diplomatic and inoffensive. For example, I was walking on eggshells, trying to explain the remark to her without offending her further. Latter and later. Latter is an adjective or a noun that refers to something, to the second of two items, to something coming after. And later is an adjective or adverb that refers to some point in time that comes after another. So, for example, the concert began later than we expected. Not at the time we expected, but after. The latter option was the only sensible one to pick. This means the second option, he's going to the store, but he'll be back later. Or, in the latter case, perimeter and parameter. Perimeter is a noun which means the boundary of a closed figure or area. Parameter is a noun that means limit or boundary. The perimeter of a square equals the length of any side times 4. Or the young scientist struggled to define the parameters of his brilliant new equation. Parameter is a limit that affects how something can be done, and perimeter is the outline of the physical area. Both words have special meanings in maths, but they take off their pocket protectors and relax their definitions when they join the rest of us. Parameter is the fancier, the more classy math and science word. In the mathematics, parameter is a measurable factor in a system. Outside of maths, parameter is still a factor, property, or characteristic. It can also be a boundary or a limit. Here are some examples. That makes it the heaviest observed elementary particle yet discovered, but within the parameters set by the standard model. As hard as journalism, it is at least you have parameters, she said. Within those parameters, Mr. Gray played with color, creating an upbeat show reflecting London's mad fashion world. In mathematics, the perimeter is the boundary of a geometric figure. In the mainstream language, it can be a limit of physical area, often one protected by an armored force. For example, secure the perimeter. Here are some more examples. Police set the perimeter around the house and blocked off Avery Street for safety reasons. Regretful or regrettable. Regretful is an adjective that describes someone who is filled with sorrow or regret. Regrettable is an adjective that describes a situation that deserves regret. For example, his addiction to the internet is rather regrettable. He should regret it. Or the children felt regretful that they embarrassed their father in public. They felt regret. Regrettable versus regretful. Something that causes regret is regrettable. A person who feels regret is regretful. For example, but even the critics declared they liked Ike before they pronounced him in regretful tones. The wrong man is for the presidency. Regretful of her own decisions not to see the Berlin Wall fall in 1989, Godsey wrote that she wants her students to witness history. Regrettable, her claim that logging was a good thing for koalas was a regrettable start. It is regrettable, however, that he will not be able to stand trial. Stationary and stationary. Stationary. Stationary is an adjective that means immobile, not moving. Stationary is a noun that means writing or typing materials. For example, don't you think my CV looks great on this new stationery? Or, when a warm or cold front stops moving, it becomes stationary front. Stationary with an A is an adjective only. It means not moving or not capable of being moved. Stationary with an E is a noun only. It refers to writing paper and envelopes. In North America, it is usually used in reference to paper and materials for writing. Outside North America, it is used more broadly. For example, after months of being criticized for remaining stationary in the polls, the White House hopeful Mitt Romney is finally getting the surge he's been waiting for. City status affords no new rights, privileges, or duties. The biggest change is the signage and stationery. Statute or statue. Statute is a noun that means a law. Statue is a noun that means a form or likeness sculpted or carved from a material, for example, stone, wood, clay, or bronze. For example, I'm not sure the dining room is the best place for the statue of Genghis Khan, or the statute of the International Court of Justice is annexed to the Charter of the United Nations. The most famous statue of Abraham Lincoln is in Washington, D.C. An act passed by a legislative body or written law is a statute. Allude or elude. Allude is a verb that means to refer to. Elude is a verb that means to avoid. For example, in the latest novel, he refers to his own fame and popularity. The expert gateway driver eluded the police after the bank robbery. Use versus utilize. Use is a verb that means to put into action or service. Utilize is a verb that means to use for a specific purpose or make practical, productive, or worthwhile use of something. For example, use, take hold, or deploy as a means of accomplishing or achieving something. Utilize, to make or render useful, or to convert or use, to turn to account. You can read this at your own leisurely pace. For example, the witch uses her cauldron to brew her potions, or the witch utilizes her cauldron as a drum during the ceremony. So, she uses it for a purpose. She uses it and she utilizes it. She changes its use. Thank you very much for watching this part of the video. I hope you've enjoyed, and I will speak to you next time.